cause us to overreact, but to respond, in the manner of wisdom. Turah, for all that you're doing. Turah for what you desire to do in the lives of us, O Savior, in the nation of Yasharal, your people, your children, your chosen generation, Yahuwah. I pray and ask for every soul, Yahuwah, for those of Yasharal, that have accepted the call, accepted, O Savior, to walk in the responsibility, Yahuwah, to walk in the lifestyle, Yahuwah, as your children. Continue to give us the strength. Continue to allow us to be a shoulder for one another, to lean on us, Yahshua. Allow us, Abba, to be an empowerment, Abba, to be a smile, Lord, to one another's faces, to bring joy, Abba, to each other, Abba, whether we're near or whether we're far. I pray, Abba, that you'll continue to shine on us, your people. Shine in us and through us. Help us to be lights, Abba, Yahuwah. Help us to be cities, O Savior, to be that city on a hill that cannot be hidden, that does not desire to be hidden, Abba, and that cannot be hidden. Help us, Abba Yahuwah. Let your light shine through our lives, that men and women, Abba Yahuwah, those of the chosen, O Savior, see that are not walking in truth, Abba, that they will see your light through our lives, Abba, that it'll inspire them, Abba Yahuwah, that it'll provoke them, O Savior, to want to live for you. They will look at our lives as a nation. They will look at our lives as a people. And they will desire to walk in you, Abba. They will desire to walk in the shalom. They'll desire to walk in the ahab. They'll desire to walk in the unity. They'll desire to walk, Abba, in the family, Abba, of Yasharon. We give your name all the esteem, Abba, as you are worthy to be exalted. You are worthy to be adored, Abba, worthy to be lifted up. Truly, you are our great and mighty King, mighty Yahuwah. Get the esteem out of our lives, Abba Yahuwah. We pray, Abba, that the Torah will continue to be a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our pathway. That no matter where we're, Savior, no matter where you would have for us to go, that we will be forever in your light. That we won't have to walk in darkness. That we won't have to be, Savior, walking in fear. I pray, Abba Yahuwah, that you would help us, Abba Yahuwah, to go deeper in the depths, Savior, deeper in the knowledge of you. And Torah truth, Abba Yahuwah, that will have a greater understanding of you, a greater understanding of who we are as a people. I pray, Abba, that as we go through the time, Abba, of recovery, restoration, and revival, that you'll continue to restore us, Abba Yahuwah, physically, Abba Yahuwah, back to that place in you, and mentally, Abba Yahuwah, even, Savior, in our soul being, Abba Yahuwah, the Ruach, Savior, that you would help us to be joined back together in you, as you have called, Savior, and desired for us as a nation to be. I pray, Abba Yahuwah, that you would help us, Abba, even to be, Savior, a restorer to one another, Abba Yahuwah, recovering, Abba, that, Savior, which was hidden, that which was kept, Abba, that will be revived, Abba Yahuwah, that you will bring us, Savior, just as our ancestors were in a place of unity with you, Abba Yahuwah, that you will bring us back to a place in you, just the same. We give your name all the esteem, Abba Yahuwah. You are worthy to be exalted, Abba, worthy to be lifted up, high of praise, Abba Yahuwah, high of esteem. Through song, Abba Yahuwah, through the clapping of our hands, Abba, through the stomping of our feet, Abba Yahuwah, through dance, Abba Yahuwah, through the music, Abba Yahuwah, through confession. We desire, Abba Yahuwah, that you continue to be esteemed through our lives. Help us, Abba Yahuwah, even to keep a repentant heart, Abba Yahuwah. Help us to keep a heart, Abba Yahuwah, where we're wanting to be sure, Abba, that as we walk in you, Abba, that it is pleasing. We desire to have a lifestyle, Abba Yahuwah, that gives you the esteem, Abba Yahuwah, that reflects back on you, Abba Yahuwah, and that shows that we are a dedicated people. We are those that desire, Abba Yahuwah, to be pleasing, that don't want to give a bad name. We don't desire, Abba Yahuwah, to be looked at and to be shunned, Abba Yahuwah, to look and be looked at, Abba Yahuwah, and to be bashed, Abba Yahuwah, because we're not living right. But we desire that if there is any negative speech, Abba Yahuwah, that it be false negative speech toward us, and not truth, Abba Yahuwah, of us walking in this, but walking in it half-hearted, and walking in it slacking, Abba. But we ask that you fortify us, Abba. Just as a kingdom, that has walls with breaches in it, Abba Yahuwah, is susceptible to being torn down, is easily accessible to be harmed and to be destroyed. We ask, Abba Yahuwah, that you would fortify the walls in us, Abba Yahuwah, the walls of our hearts, Abba Yahuwah, not that will block out, Savior, those that would desire to be a help. So it won't block out you, Abba Yahuwah, but we'll be fortified and built up, Abba, that when things come at us, that we'll be able to stand. And after we've done all to stand, Abba Yahuwah, we will be girded up, Abba Yahuwah, with the whole armor. We will have ourselves, being fortified mentally, fortified, spiritually, fortified, in body, and soul. We will be fortified, able to be a help to one another. As you called us, in this walk to be one. You did not call us to be loners, to be lone wolves, and to try and be to ourselves, but you called us as a family, as a nation, gathered together as one. Turah for the Ahab, Turah for the unity, Turah for the continued gathering together of your strong. We're giving him all the esteem, all the praise, and all the exaltation that you're worthy of. And it's these things and more that we do pray. Yahuwah Bahashem Yahush. And it is so. I've got a praise on my lips, and I can't seem to resist. It's a praise that resounds all around. I've got a praise, and it's personal to me. Who gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. Come on, I've got a praise on my lips, and I can't seem to resist. It's a praise that resounds all around. I've got a praise, and it's personal to me. Who gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. Come on, I've got a praise on my lips, and I can't seem to resist. It's a praise that resounds all around. I've got a praise, and it's personal to me. Who gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. Come on, I've got a praise on my lips, and I can't seem to resist. It's a praise that resounds all around. I've got a praise, and it's personal to me. Who gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. Nobody but you deserves my praise. All that's in me every day. Hallelujah is the highest praise. Yahuwah gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise, and it's tailor-made from me. Nobody but you deserves my praise. All that's within me every day. Hallelujah is the highest praise. You will get the praise. from me. He gets the praise and it's tailor-made from me. Nobody but you deserves my praise. All that's within me every day. Hallelujah is the highest praise. You will get the praise and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise and it's tailor-made from me. Come on now, God. I got a praise on my lips and I can't seem to resist. It's a praise that resounds all around. I've got a praise and it's personal. Personal to me. It's a praise and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise and it's tailor-made from me. Come on now, God. I got a praise on my lips and I can't seem to resist. It's a praise that resounds all around. I've got a praise and it's personal. Personal to me. It's a praise and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise and it's tailor-made from me. Nobody but you deserves my praise. All that's within me every day. Hallelujah is the highest praise. You will get the praise and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise and it's tailor-made from me. Nobody but you deserves my praise. All that's within me every day. Hallelujah is the highest praise. You will get the praise and it's tailor-made from me. He gets the praise and it's tailor-made from me. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise, and it's custom fit for him. So let the praises begin. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise, and it's custom fit for him. So let the praises begin. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise, and it's custom fit for him. So let the praises begin. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise, and it's custom fit for him. So let the praises begin. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise, and it's custom fit for him. So let the praises begin. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise. I got a tailor-made praise, and it's custom fit for him. So let the praises begin. I got. Come on and Baruch Yahuwah with me. Yahuwah with me. Come on and Baruch, 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 Yahuwah with me. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Come on and worship Yahuwah with me. 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 Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Come on and sing your song with me. 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 Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Allah, Yahuwah. Come on and praise Yahuwah with me. 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 Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Come on and Yahuwah with me. 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 Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah, Allah, Yahuwah. sing Yahuwah with me. Come on, let's 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 sing Yahuwah with me. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Come on and wave your hands with me. 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 Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Sing along, Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah. Allow Yahuwah.
It's now time for our declaration, a time when we come to worship the atmosphere. The first voices that you hear will be a portion of the praise team, and I will be immediately followed to take us into a time of declaration.
Listen here, have you ever heard this name? I know He washed me clean, white as snow. If you have salvation, then you know you will be clean. You'll be cleansed with the Spirit. Have you ever heard of this name? The name that starts with Y and ends with A. Goes like this, Yahweh. Yahoo, sweet Yahoo. Listen here, have you ever heard this name? I know he wants to be clean, white as snow. If you have salvation, then you know you will be clean. You'll be cleansed through the Spirit. Have you ever heard of his name? Name that starts with Y and ends with A. Go like this, Yahoo. Yeah, oh, his name is Yahoo. His name is Yahoo. Yeah, yeah. Yahoo, sweet Yahoo. Yay!
Hallelujah. We magnify our King as we come now from this our time of declaration. As we prepare to worship the atmosphere, I ask everyone to repeat after me. Say, I declare that I am so glad that I know truth. I am so glad and ever thankful that I am walking in Turah. Satan, you're defeated, your darkness is scattered, and yours is sovereign. And it is so. Hallelujah. Put your hands together. Let's magnify our King as we truly be lifting him up this evening. Because we know that there's a great and mighty word that is coming forth to us on this night, on this Layla. And we will magnify our King for all that he is about to say unto us. Now, as we prepare to move into that worship service, it is now time for us to bring seed into our King. So as we prepare to do so, we do so according to his set apart written in writings. For he lets us know that in the book of Genesis that as long as the earth remains, there remains seed, time, and harvest. Luke 6:38 says that when we give it shall be given unto us good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall the uppermost men again into our bosom. Malachi lets us know that when we're obedient in our tithes and our offerings, that he would open up the windows of Shemaim and pour us out the roof, that there should not be room enough to receive it. He will rebuke the devourer for our sake, and neither shall our vine cast forth the fruit before the time in the field, says the sovereign of hosts. 2 Corinthians 9 declares unto us that the hour of house a cheerful giver. He gives seed to the sower, bread for our food, and multiplies our seed sown, and increases the fruits of our righteousness. He lets us know as it comes full circle in the book of Amos that the time is coming in our ears when the reaper shall overtake the sower. So as we come preparing to sow our seed, we know and understand that not only is it seed time, but what time is it?
Harvest time.
What time is it?
Harvest time.
What time is it?
Harvest time.
It's harvest time. So if you need to tithe them off, raise your hand for those of you here, and our ushers will be more than happy to give one to you. For those of you that are viewing remotely by way of internet, if you would like to and desire to be a root to this ministry and to this work for the furtherance of the writings and of Torah, then if you're viewing by way of the ministry page, please hit the donate button and follow the instructions therein. For those of you who prefer to use PayPal as your medium, send us your information, we'll send a link and we will confirm accordingly. And also for those of you that also prefer to use Cash App, we will also send the information and correspond accordingly. And so we do magnify our King, and it is so. now time for us to receive as our King. So as our musicians will come to the music, come from where you are, bringing seed unto our King. Let's lift our seed unto our King. Our people, we do magnify, we do thank you, Lord, for being our provision and for all that you provide for us. We thank you for your magnificence. You said in your writings, Abba, that if we're willing and obedient, that we shall eat, be partakers of the great and the fatness of this land. Because we walk in obedience to your Turah, and we are free givers, we thank you, and we say, Torah about Abba, for all your provision unto us in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, and it is so. And it is so. We truly magnify our King as we come to you this evening, prepared to lift up the name of our Most High Savior. Thanking Yahweh for all that He has done and how He's kept us all day long. I don't know about you, but how many of you have been kept all day long? Many of us have had challenges throughout the day. Somebody might have stubbed their toe. Somebody might have wanted to stub somebody's toe. Hallelujah. But about for the others for keeping us all day long. We didn't have to put hands on nobody. But we come to put our hands together to lift them up and to give the praise, the highest praise to our King, to our Savior. And we thank Him for all that He has done and for all that He yet continues to do. Hallelujah. So at this time, as I prepare to get out of the way, it is now time for us to be partakers and time for us to strap on the napkins so that we can prepare to feast, because now it is time for the word, for the Turah. So without further ado, it gives me a true esteem to bring to your forefront one who has been a baruch to my life and is a baruch to the life of all that she ever comes in contact with. And if you have to say anything different, there's something wrong with you. Hallelujah. So let me get out the way and bring to your forefront none other than my Lord, my sweetheart, the senior pastor, Pastor River, your words came in the rain, believe ministry, Dr. Earl, apostle, senior prophets. Aliyah, Yahshua. Put your hands together as you come to read. Come on, stand. Come on. Let's worship Him. Come on, let's worship Him. Come on, open your mouth and begin to worship Him. Let's praise Him. Let's praise Him. Hallelujah. Let's worship Him. Come on, He's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. Come on, hallelujah. He's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. Come on. Come on, He's worthy. He's worthy. Go worthy. Go worthy. Go worthy. Go worthy. Go worthy. Go worthy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Wonderful in His name. Come on, He's worthy. Go worthy. Go worthy. Go worthy. Come on, He's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. Come on, He's worthy. Wonderful, wonderful. Come on, you're wonderful. Wonderful in your name. Wonderful in your name.
out of bed this morning, starting you on your way. He gave us life and that more abundantly. We owe him a praise. We owe him to worship him. Hallelujah. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Help us in our right mind throughout the day. Help us, you kept us, you kept us. And we appreciate you for all that you've done, all that you're doing, and all that you're yet going to do. We sing praises to our King, strong and mighty, high and lifted up. We give you praise. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Come on, he's worthy. Praise him. Praise him. He's worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. Hallelujah. You're worthy. You're worthy. Come on. You're worthy. You're worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. From the rising of the sun to the going down of the sun. You're worthy. You're worthy. And we can give you praise. Hallelujah. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Come on, you woke us up this morning. Come on, he started us on our way. He didn't just give us life, but he gave us brand new life. The life that you live too young is not the life that you lived on yesterday. But this is a new life. New life. Fresh springs that spring forth. And we do give you praise for every breath that we take, for every tear that we cry, for every smile that you have allowed us to smile. We do appreciate you and baruch you this great Layla. Come on, lift your hands and worship him. Worship him for a few moments. Worship him for a few moments. Come on. We sing praises to our King. Come on, worship him for a few moments. Come on, forget yourself for a moment and concentrate on him, the one true and living King. Oh, our King. Come on, praise him. Come on, release yourself in him. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy. Hallelujah. You're worthy. Come on, worship him, worship him. You're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. We appreciate you for healing, for longevity. We appreciate you for life and that more abundantly. Come on, praise him. Come on, worship him. And the Yaka of Kodesh. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Come on, worship him, worship him. You're worthy. Hallelujah, you're worthy. Come on. We've been in a bad state of affairs. And we didn't know who he was. But we appreciate him.
us. We're going to praise him. We are going to worship him because he is worthy. He's worthy. You're 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 worthy. Come on. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. Gave us life and that more abundantly. Purchased by the blood of your son. You're so worthy. You're so worthy. How we adore you. How we adore you. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Worthy, worthy, worthy. We appreciate you. We adore 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 you. Come on. Just for a few more seconds. Come on. We lift our hands. We lift our arms to you, our King, our sovereign one. Your word, your word, your worthy. Hallelujah. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. Hallelujah. The great I am, our King. Yahuwah, strong and mighty. Strong and mighty. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. Hallelujah. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. There's none like you. No, not one. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. We appreciate you for healing, for your healing virtue, for your saving power, for your delivering power. There is none like you. And we don't have to search all over. All we have to do is look into the Torah and see that there is none like you. We appreciate you for your son, Yahush Mashiach. Yahuwah. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Yes, you're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy. Yes, you are, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy. Weeping may endure for a day, but joy cometh in the morning. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and the King of power shall come in. Hallelujah. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Come on, praise him, praise him. Come on, praise him for deliverance. Come on, praise him for healing. Come on, praise him for salvation. Come on, praise him, praise him, praise him. You're worthy. Yes, he is. He's worthy. He's worthy. And we praise you for that and so much more. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. He's worthy, he's worthy. Come on, put your hands together and appreciate him. Come on, appreciate him. appreciate him. How about you? I appreciate him. It's a great thing to be in truth. Yes, it is. And understand my praise is my praise. And I won't change it for anybody. Period. I don't expect everybody to understand it because you're not me. But we all ought to have a praise. We should have a praise on our lips and always a prayer in our hearts. We ought to never get to the point that we can't praise him. We ought to never get to the point that we are too tired or we are so engulfed or we are so preoccupied with everything else that we can't praise him. Praise is calmly for the upright. I don't apologize and I never will for my praise and for my aha for him. He is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. And I will never stop praising him. See, what you do openly is what you do privately. That's important for us to understand. Whatever you do openly is what you do privately. If you lift your hands openly, it means you lift your hands privately. If you praise him openly, it means you praise him privately. There's no shame in what we do. Because we understand we are praising him, not because of what he's done, but because of who he is. And he deserves our praise. And I won't rob him of his praise. I won't rob him of what is due him. I appreciate him every day or every yawn of my life. The song says, now we behold the Lamb, the precious Lamb of Yahuwah, born in the sin that I might live. He's the precious Lamb of Yahuwah. And we know that Lamb is Yahush Amashka. That is enough to praise him for. That is enough to give him, to serenade him and to praise him because of all that he's done and all that he continues to do. Some of us have felt like this past week, you felt like you was about to lose your mind. Some of you felt like you was all by yourself. Some of you felt like you were ostracized because you had been criticized. But Yahuwah stepped in and he made you feel all right. No, he made you feel better than all right. He made you feel wanted. He made you feel that you belong. You owe him the praise. We owe him the praise. It is important that we not slight him on his praise. Some of you felt like the sail was knocked out of your wind, or the wind was knocked out of your sail. Like the wind was knocked out of your body. But Yahuwah in his mercy and his kindness picked you up and made you feel alive again. Reassured me that he's with us until the end. And even when the end is at its end, he's still with us. We praise you, Abba Yahuwah, for that what you're doing, that what you've done, that what you're yet going to do. Serenade our hearts as we serenade yours, Abba Yahuwah. Oh yes, he's our King, he's our King. Ah yes, you're so beautiful. He's beautiful. There's none like you, none like you, none like you. You're beautiful, you're beautiful. And in spite of what we see the ugliness that's in the world. But yet when we open up the Torah, we see his beauty. And in spite of what they're trying to do to make the world look so bad, we still see a ray of hope. We still can look at the atmosphere and look outside and still see his Yahweh. Ah, he's wonderful. Ah, he's wonderful. You're wonderful. Yes, he'll be there to the end. And when the end has come to its end, he will still be there to see us through. And you feel like you've reached the end of your rope, he will be the extension to that rope. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Mm. He's worthy. He's worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Sometimes it's so much that we hear and see. And if you're not careful, it can be overwhelming. But I appreciate him. But when it seems like it becomes overwhelming, he steps in. And he helps us to cover, to carry. He helps us to shoulder the burden of that load. And when it's a load that we're not to carry, he knows how to come in and tell us to take it off. I appreciate it. Ah, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Mm. Help us, your people, out here. We pray for those that are sick and shut in. We lift our voices this Layla for not just the sick physically, but the sick that are spiritually. We pray for those, Abba Yahuwah, that's going through in their bodies. The physical body is in need of rejuvenation. The physical body is in need of healing that only you can provide. No doctor, not even herbs, but only you can provide. As we come before you this Layla, we cry out for those, many of our matriarchs that are suffering in their bodies, for their hearts. I pray, Abba Yahuwah, for restoration and healing. For the patriarchs, them that are of old, that have seen and that continue to see, that saw and continue to see the degeneration and the lawlessness of people on an all-time high. I pray, Abba Yahuwah, that you would lift up their down head, their bowed down head, and that you would encourage their hearts to push on, fight on, run on, to embrace the end that you have for us, your people. Because even at our end, according to Jeremiah 29:11, we have an expected end. And even in our end, there is yet a beginning in our end. I told you up here, for your will being done in us and through us. I pray for those, Abba Yahuwah, that's struggling with self-identity, trying to figure out who they are, and what they're supposed to become, and what they're supposed to hold on to. I pray, Abba Yahuwah, for the deliverance of Yahshua, and for the unity of our people, that we would unify in these times, that we will put away our bickering and our fussing, and we will come and we will unify, and we will be that nation that will show other nations how to live, not just survive, but how to live and how to thrive. I told you, Abba Yahuwah, for your will be done, for your free Ruach that's moving across this nation. You're calling out your people. You are awakening us. You are awakening us. You are pushing us to walk in your truth. I told you out there for your will, for your purpose. No man is an island and no man stands alone. I appreciate you. I pray for those that are still yet blinded by the blinding force of Christianity and ignorance, that they're not comfortable and they are not happy or resting unless they are causing strife and turmoil and trouble in somebody else's life. I pray for those that continue to say that Torah is obsolete and that the first covenant is no longer. I pray, Abba Yahuwah, that you would open their hearts and minds and give them that space to see truth like only you can give space. You're the only one that can open up blinded eyes. You're the only one that can unstop deaf ears. You're the only one that can redirect the heart. We ask you this, Layla, for your empowerment and for the tangibility and manifestation of your miracle power. We told her you are the Yahuwah. We told her you. We told her you. Wonderful Savior. Wonderful Savior. We appreciate you. Breathe into us. Breathe into your people. Breathe into us, your people. Breathe. Breathe into us. That our belief will become animated. I told her you are the Yahuwah. For the young men ahead of us, and for the young men behind us, I told her you are the Yahuwah. We long for you in a dry and thirsty, barren land. We hunger for you. We hunger for you. We worship 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 you. You're worthy. We worship you. We worship you. We worship you. Ah, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Worship him. He's worthy, he's worthy. Yes, he is. You're worthy. You're worthy. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We appreciate you. He's worthy. Mm-hmm. You're worthy. You're worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. Come on, lift your hands. Just lift your hands. Lift your hands. Lift your hands. You're worthy. 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 Your peace, your shalom that surpasses all understanding. Mm. Lift the heavy hearts. Lift the heavy hearts. We told our you are Yahuwah. We told our you for refreshing, rejuvenate us. Help us, Abba Yahuwah, to make the right choices and the right decisions. We appreciate you. He's worthy. Yes, you're worthy. You're worthy. He's worthy. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. Cast all your cares on him, for he careth for you. He careth for me. We can't get our next marching orders if we are so full and preoccupied. Some of us are so full and we are full of anxiety, fear, worry. We can't please Abba Yahuwah with these things in us. That's why we have to empty ourselves so that he can refill us. So many of us are concerned. And not just concerned, but worried about our mishpachah. No worries. We need to cast it all at the altar and leave it there. The Abba knows, and he sees all things. But we got to trust him. Even when we can't trace him, we have to trust him. Trust him when you can't trace him. Ahab him when you can't feel him. It's a walk of belief. It's a walk of belief. And I encourage you this Layla to draw nigh to him and watch him draw nigh to you. I encourage you to push beyond your emotions. Push beyond your resolve. And watch Abba Yahuwah do what he does best. It's important that we understand. 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 It's important that we understand what he desires to do for us and how he desires to do it. And it is so.
It is so.
And it is so.
It is so.
He's worthy. Yes, he is. He's worthy. He's worthy. And it is so. And it is so. And it is so. All right. We appreciate the Alpha. I pray that your hearts are lifted and your Ruach is charged and that you're ready for the next marching orders. You're ready for the next marching orders. You're ready for that what Abba Yahuwah would instruct you to do. We have to empty, release, and let go in order to be filled so that we can move forward and do what he's called us to do. It is a great thing to be walking in truth. And it's a greater thing to have truth walking in us. Yes. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. Come on, at this time we're going to have the reading of our 10 Commandments. And then we're going to have, we're going to do first, the Baruch of the Torah. And then we're going to have the reading of the 10 Commandments out of Devarim chapter 5. I appreciate Abba Yahuwah for that what he's doing, that what he's done, and that what he's yet going to do. He's my portion. A trusted sovereign one. I can say he's my friend. But he's more than that. He's my savior, he's my Abba. And I appreciate him more than anything else in this world. Mm-hmm. He's a mender of broken hearts. He's a regulator of minds. Yes, he is. He's one you can depend on. He'll never leave you, neither will he forsake you. He'll be there until the end. He's worthy. All right, we're going to do the Baruch of the Torah. And it is so. And it is so. Come on. Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah,
The Baruch one.
the Baruch one.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
Baruch is Yahuwah,
The Baruch one.
the Baruch one.
For all eternity.
For all eternity.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah,
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah,
Our supreme one.
our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who selected us
Who selected us
from all the peoples
from all the people
and gave us his Torah.
and gave us his Torah.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah,
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah,
Giver of the Torah.
giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah,
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah,
Our supreme one.
our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who gave us the Torah of truth
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
and implanted eternal life
And it planted eternal life
within us.
within us.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah,
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah,
Giver of the Torah.
giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Devarim 5, verses 6 to 22. Aleph. I am Yahuwah, your power, which brought you out of the land of Israel from the bed of slavery. That you shall have no other power before me. You shall not make you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in Shemayim above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the mind beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, your power, my jealous power. Visiting the iniquity of the Abbas upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that are hide me and keep my commandments. Gimel. You shall not take the name of Yahuwah, your power, and falsify it, for Yahuwah will not hold them guiltless that takes his name in empty. Dalet, guard the 7th day to set it apart as Yahuwah, your power, has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah, your power. In it you shall not do any work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your foreigner that is within your gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahuwah brought you out of there through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore, Yahuwah, your power, commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Okay? Esteem your arm and your image, Yahuwah, your power, has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahuwah, your power, is about to give you. While you shall not murder. Saying, neither shall you commit adultery. Cat, neither shall you steal. Tap, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. You, neither shall you desire your neighbor's issue, neither shall you covet your neighbor's bench, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahuwah spoke unto all your assembly in the mount, out of the midst of the fire, and of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone, and delivered them unto me. And it is so.
And it is so. Devarim chapter 6, verses 1 through 18. These are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah your power commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you are going to enter and possess it, that you might fear Yahuwah your power to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the yamim of your life, and that your yamim may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yasharal, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you might increase mightily as Yahuwah power of your Abbas has promised you in the land that flows with milk and honey. Shema Yasharal, Yahuwah is our power. Yahuwah is a God. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our supreme one. Yahuwah is a God. And you shall have Yahuwah your supreme one with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words which I command you this yom shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your bed, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind the foresign upon your hand, that they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. To fall to what?
Bind to the mind.
To bind to the mind, to give it access to your mind. And you shall write them upon the posts of your bed and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahuwah your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov, to give you great cities which you did not build, houses full of all great things which you fill not, and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you shall have eaten and be full, then beware lest you forget Yahuwah, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim from the bed of slavery. You shall fear Yahuwah your power and serve him and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after the power of the people which are round about you. For Yahuwah your power is a jealous power among you, lest the anger of Yahuwah your power be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahuwah your power as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahuwah your power, and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahuwah, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the great land which Yahuwah swore to your fathers. And it is so.
It is so.
Yahush, the son of Nun, chapter 1, verses 7 and 8. We're going to read verse 7, and then we're going to confess verse 8. Only be you strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the Torah which Moshe my servant commanded you. Turn not from it to the right or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. Verse 8, let us confess it. I will not let this scroll of the Torah
I will not let this scroll of the Torah
depart out of my mouth,
depart out of my mouth,
but I shall meditate in it,
but I shall meditate in it,
Yom and Layla,
Yom and Layla,
that I may observe to do
that I may observe to do
according to all that is written in it.
according to all that is written in it.
For then I shall make my way prosperous,
For then I shall make my way prosperous,
and then I shall act wisely.
and then I shall act wisely.
Now look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, and you shall act wisely,
And you shall act wisely.
Look at your other neighbor and tell your other neighbor, and you shall act wisely, and you shall act wisely. Take your hand and place it over your heart and say, I'll be Yahuwah,
I'll be Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
I'll be Yahuwah,
I'll be Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
I endeavor
I endeavor
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
I endeavor
I endeavor
to wisely.
to act wisely.
I endeavor
I endeavor
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
Come on, one more time. I endeavor
I endeavor
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Very challenging every day of our lives. But it is possible and it can be done. You just have to have a heart and a mind to do so.
That's right. That's right.
And I am determined, regardless of what people say, think, or do, to act wisely. And it is so.
It is so.
Mishlei 15 and 8, the sacrifices of the wicked is an abomination, hateful, and exceedingly offensive unto you, Abba Yahuwah. But the prayer of the upright, it is your delight. Mishlei 3 and 4, so shall you find great understanding and high esteem in the sight of judgment of Yahuwah and man. Excuse me, and it is so.
And it is so.
To heal him 1 and 1. Baruch is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the unrighteous, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the instructions of Abba Yahuwah, and he doth meditate upon it, and it is so.
And it is so.
Ibram 11 and 6, but without believing it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahuwah must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And it is so.
It is so.
Ayah 33 and 4, the Ruach Kodesh of Yahuwah hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. Somebody say he is a life giver.
He is a life giver.
Yes, he is. Micah 3 and 8, but truly I am full of power by the Ruach Kodesh of Yahuwah, and of judgment of might to declare unto Yaakov his transgression, and to Yasharal his sin. And it is so.
And it is so.
Tehillim 34 and 15, the eyes of Yahuwah are upon the upright, and his ears are open unto our cry. Verse 17, the upright cry, and Yahuwah heareth and delivereth us out of all our troubles. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. Yahukin and Aleph 5, 3 through 15. And also I want to read 2 and 5 and 6. But whoever guards his word or his Torah, truly the Ahab of Yahuwah has been perfected in him. Perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. The one who says he lives in him ought himself also to walk, even as he walked. Chapter 5, verses 3 through 14. For this is the Ahab for Yahuwah, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not difficult, because everyone having been begotten of Yahuwah overcomes the world. And this is the overcoming that has overcome the world, even our belief. Who is the one who overcomes the world but he who believes that Yahush is the son of Yahuwah? This is the one that came by water and blood, Yahush Mashiach, not only by water, but by water and blood. And it is the Ruach who bears witness, because the Ruach is the truth. Because there are three who bear witness, the Ruach and the water and the blood, and the three are in agreement. Somebody say they're in agreement.
They're in agreement.
If we receive the witness of men, the witness of Yahuwah is greater, because this is the witness of Yahuwah which he has witnessed concerning his son. The one who believes in the Son of Yahuwah has the witness in himself. The one who does not believe Yahuwah has made him a liar, because he has not believed the witness that Yahuwah has given concerning his son. And this is the witness that Yahuwah has given us eternal life, and this life is in his son. He who possesses the Son possesses life. He who does not possess the Son of Yahuwah does not possess life. I have written this to you who believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah, so that you know that you possess everlasting life, and so that you believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah. And this is the boldness that we have in him, that if we ask whatever according to his desire, he hears us. Verse 15, and if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him. And it is so. And it is so. At this time, we're going to do our affirmation, then our declaration, then our sealing of our praise, prayer, and worship. And it is so.
And it is so.
Repeat with me. I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I am Ibram.
I am Abram.
I am born again.
I am born again.
I am Ibram.
I am Abram.
I have the life and nature
I have the life and nature
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
That life is the Torah
That life is the Torah
of Yasharal.
of Yahshua.
I purpose to walk
I purpose to walk
in the Torah of life.
in the Torah of life.
Yahush Torah.
Yahush Torah.
Yahuwah's Torah. I'm sorry.
Yahush Torah.
Yahush
Yahush
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's knowledge
Yahuwah's knowledge
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's Ahab
Yahuwah's Ahab
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's power
Yahuwah's power
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's wisdom
Yahuwah's wisdom
is in me.
is in me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is leading me.
He is leading me.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
The Ruach Kodesh
Ruach Kodesh
of Yahuwah in me
of Yahuwah in me
is leading me.
is leading me.
I'll follow
I'll follow
her leading.
her leading.
I'll walk in
I'll walk in
the Torah,
the Torah.
Yahush,
Yahush
our Mashiach,
Hamashiach.
and it is so.
And it is so.
Repeat this with me. We subdue ignorance
We subdue ignorance
with Torah knowledge.
with Torah knowledge.
We arrest hate
We arrest hate
with Torah Ahab.
with Torah Ahab.
We release
We release
Torah truth
Torah truth
to the four extremes
to the four extremes
of the arid,
of the air,
where
where
Ibram
Abram
reside.
reside.
We declare
We declare
healing,
healing,
shalom,
shalom,
deliverance,
deliverance,
and salvation
and salvation
to the body of
to the body of
Yahuwah
Yahuwah
through Yahush,
through Yahush
our HaMashiach,
our Hamashiach.
the Mashiach. And it is so.
And it is so.
Let us bow before our King. in the sincerity of our hearts and our minds, let us repeat. May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so.
And it is so.
We have just recited Tehillim 19 and 14. And it is so.
And it is so.
You may receive it. And His presence, I want the deliberation of my heart to be desirable before Him. Because He knows our heart, and other people don't see it and know that He knows our hearts. He knows the fights, He knows the struggles, He knows what is there. And I appreciate Him for sending help and helping us by way of His instructions.
Right.
When we say Torah, we're talking about the Haftarah and the Brit Hadasha. We're not just talking about the first covenant. We're talking also with the extension, even we are alluding to the extension, which is the renewed covenant, not a new covenant, but a renewed covenant, which is so important for us to accept and understand, because many of the time that we're living in continue to fight and want to say that it's not the writings and want to constantly fight about the language and how it does not line up. And we know that there were certain things that were interfered with, but we must understand also the Torah was the basis for their ministry. It was the basis for theirs and the basis for ours. And so it is important that whenever you read and whenever you see things that look like it's contradictory or is contrary to what we have come to understand and know, you got to read the full essence of it, and you got to understand that they had the same fight that we have. Where you have people, and more so them, because you have people interfering, you have people trying to rewrite, you have people coming in, and this is why a lot of us have gotten off on the wrong foot or on the wrong track, so to say. It's because of what we have accepted and allowed in our hearts as truth. You have to remember, Yahushua said, "My sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow." And also, Yahuwah alludes to it and allows us to know that if we ahab Him, then we will keep or guard His commands. And so it is important that we understand what is taking place. But on tonight, I want to deal with something that is very important, something that Yahuwah put on my heart throughout the Yom. And so it is something that I believe is necessary for us, especially in the time we're in. And you have to understand what we do. We don't do it because we're worried. We do it because it is important that we use wisdom. Somebody say use wisdom.
Use wisdom.
Very important that we use wisdom in everything that we do. Why? It is because our lives depend upon it. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. We want to talk tonight in regards of the writings to support us in our time of preparation. Now I know don't quit me before you hear what I'm about to say concerning this. We have many of people that say, we don't have to store up, we don't have to prepare. Then you have those that say, yes, we must prepare. It is of the utmost that we prepare. And so it is important that we understand our preparation is not a reflection of our doubt or disbelief that Yahuwah through Yahush cannot keep us. But it is important that we understand that when you prepare, you are not just preparing for yourself.
That's right.
This is why we as a people can no longer think in the singular, aspect, but we have to think along the plural and look at our mishpachah and mishpachot. Very important for us to understand. And so, with that being said, once again, I want you to follow with me as I looked up some things, some writings, some verses for us to look at. And the reason I say it's important that we understand, because you have to look at something and take place. You have to understand. I look at the government as being a tree. Now, following with this, because this is the analogy that I looked at and I believe is appropriate for it. You have to look at the government as a tree. And because it is a tree, it produces fruit. Not only does it produce fruit, but it produces branches, it produces roots that go very deep, and it produces leaves, and it produces other things. And so, with that being said, hit my mouth. It provides shelter, and it provides certain things for different ones. And so, when you begin to understand, everybody does not pull from this tree. Everybody does not have to, but everybody in some form or fashion will be affected by this tree. Are you following me?
Yes.
If this tree is unattended to, if this tree collapses, everybody in some form of fashion, if you're not prepared, will be affected by it. If a tree falls and it falls in the path of a home or a pathway, if it doesn't fall on the home, if it falls in the pathway, those that have to use that path will be what? Affected by it. It may not be that it causes damage per se, but at some point or in some form or fashion, you will be affected by it. And so this is the analogy that I believe Abba Yahuwah has given me to share with us as a people, as a whole. You may not need the tree to live in, but somebody else does. You may not need the branches or the fruit that fall from it, but somebody else does. The roots to that big tree go deep and go out wide. So it's important that we understand that in order for it not to affect us, we've got to make sure that we are doing things that keep us from being affected by it. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. Now, what I want to do, we're going to look at the writings. I know our time is about 10:16, 10:15. All right. We got about 7 verses we're going to go through where we are going to look at, and then we got a few more verses if we can look at that. I'm going to kind of show you where it's 2 to 3 that basically is not in agreement, but at the same time, you have to understand why they are not in agreement at this particular time. We have to understand what is going on, what is the setting, what is taking place at this appointed time where it would be discouraged for them to do these things. So we have to look at it in its totality and not just look at it from the surface. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right. With the first verse we're going to look at is Mishlei 28 and 19. When you have it, said it is so. Once again, we're not running scared. We're using wisdom. Now, once again, if anybody has, I didn't watch it, but I did see on a post where he went and for lunch, he bought everybody Big Macs. He had all that fine china and all that in there, and he bought a whole table spread of Big Macs. Now, I don't know if anybody ate the Big Mac or not, but you do see the people kind of looking at it, and they kind of got that look like, I know he don't expect us to eat this. Now, you have to understand something. Anybody that has any kind of business savvy, you don't have to be in other words, you don't have to have gone to school to understand just certain principles. One of the things you have to understand is he's making a point here. I didn't hear what was being said or what was done because I didn't want to hear it. But one thing about it is for sure, you have to understand, he is making a point. And his point, from what I see, is that, look, if you all can spend, if we cut back on how we eat, then that money can be diverted to what I want. Are you following me? Because you don't have to really listen to what's being said. All you have to do is look at what he did. Now, I'm assuming that their lunches at times for that many people can run probably in the hundreds, maybe thousands for lunch. And so his point is, if we start taking from these things that are remedial, or these things that are not as important, then we can begin to see money. Now, with that being said, you have to understand people are already being affected that have EBT and SNAP. They're already being affected by the temporary or partial governmental shutdown. Now, with that being said, it is important that we understand what's taking place here. Many people, I'm trying to keep up with the articles and I'm trying to keep up with certain things to help us to stay on top of it. Because it's the foolish person that does not watch the weather. It is a foolish person that hides his head in the sand. And we're going to see the writings that support what I'm saying. Now, it's important that we understand many people are already being affected by it. According to one article, it said that people that would get their EBT or get their SNAP, that by the end of January, that they needed on the 20th, that they needed to stretch it all the way through February, because there is a possibility or probability they will not be able to get anything after that. Now, you have to understand why it is important for us to follow and find out what's going on. Because you have to understand it affects people. It affects people. And these effects can truly trickle in and affect you if you're not aware. It's very important for us to understand that. Now, once again, for us as born again believers and that's walking in truth, we're going to look at what the writings tell us and how we are supposed to govern ourselves. Once again, I've heard different ones on different platforms that speak, that say, I believe too. I am a believer in Yahuwah. I am a believer of Yahushua. I am a believer of his writings. But I'm going to show you it is important that we follow the writings and that we follow what is taking place. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And the reason why I am saying this is because, once again, let me put it to you in this, give you this analogy as well. Anybody that works on a job and they offer, I think it's 401k, if you are a participant of that, if you believe that you are not supposed to put up, then you need to pull out of that right now. Because what is a 401k plan? Well, what that plan is that's a plan that they will match your dollar. If you put 50 in, they will put 50. Why? Because this is money that is what? Put up or reserved or stored away for you when you retire so that you can what? Have money. Now, somebody will say, but that's different. No, it is not. Because at a certain time, you can either borrow against your 401k or you can take it out. Depends on how it's set up. Also, if you have a bank account or a savings account, then you need to shut those down if you are one that does not believe. Because you have to understand, my point that I am making is that we all want to better in life. And nobody wants to live from paycheck to paycheck or wondering where your next meal is going to come from or how you are going to make it. This is why it is important that we prepare.
That's right.
Very important that we prepare. This is why people get better jobs. This is why people go and get their own business, because they're tired of living from paycheck to paycheck. Let's say from hand to mouth. Nobody wants to live like that. So it is important that as we make allowances and we prepare so we don't have to live like this, it is important that we understand in this time as well that we can't disregard that same principle in times like these. We don't know if the government is going to shut down or not. I mean, a blackout is going to happen. But what we do know for sure is that the government is partially shut down. And I'm telling you, he is trying to prove a point. First of all, they're not getting any funding for the state parks or museums, unless that has changed, and I don't believe so. Neither are they getting money for anything else. It was also alluded to that the security, Homeland Security, thank you, Yahuwah, would only be funded up until February the 8th. Everything else will run for 8 months unless it is extended. Somebody would say, well, why are you taking time to try to do this? Because you have to understand, when a watchman sees distress or sees famine or sees destruction coming into a city and does not warn or put a warning out there, woe unto that watchman or that leader. It is important that we understand where we are and what is important to us as a whole. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. All right, let's look at Mishnah 28 and 28 and 19. When you have it said, it is so. And we're going to look at verse 18 first. All right.
Yes. Mishnah chapter 28, verses 18 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
The one who lives with integrity will be helped. The one who distorts right and wrong will suddenly fall. Verse 19. The one who works his land will have plenty of food, but whoever chases fantasies will have his fill of poverty. And it is so.
And it is so. All right, now let's look at this. Let's look at this. Now, verse 28, once again, 18 and 19. All right, Mishlei, which is Proverbs, chapter 28, and we're going to look at verses 18 and 19. And we're going to look at the writings. We're going to look at what the writings are saying. All right, 18 and 19. Whoso walks uprightly shall be saved, but he that is perverse in his ways shall fall at once. He that tills his land shall have plenty of lakim, but he that follows after vain persons shall have poverty enough. Now, it's important that we understand what's being said here. And important for us to understand, somebody says, but I don't have my own property. But this is one of the things that is important for us to strive for. And many people say, well, I can't afford it. If you can afford to pay for a house, rent a house, if you can afford to rent an apartment, you can afford your own property. The question is, where do you want to buy your property? The question is, where do you want to live? Are you following me? You might have to make some changes. That's the question. So once again, it is not that we can't. And then watch this. You may not own your land, but you might have to live on somebody's property with them. Are you hearing me? But you have to be willing to work out the rules and the regulations with that person. But let's look at what it says once again. Whoso walketh upright shall be saved. We know we're walking upright and we know we're doing what we're supposed to. But he that is perverse in his ways shall fall at once. That person that is perverse and that does not want to live right and do right is going to fall at once. He that tills his land shall have plenty of lakim. In other words, what is being stated here, work your own land to provide food for your mishpachah. We have to teach our children how to grow and preserve their own food, save our money so we are not tied down to debt. What is that saying? In other words, it is important for us to understand what is being spoken. Someone says, I don't own land, but let me tell you something. It's easy to own land. Let me give you a little secret here. The Dollar Tree sells a bag of earth. Are you following me?
Yes.
For $1. All you have to do is purchase that land. Are you following me? Because all land is what? Dirt. Purchase it. Purchase you some seeds. Purchase you some foods, some plant food, and begin to plant and do what? Till your own land so that you can have plenty of what? Lakim. In other words, you won't lack because you are doing or following a principle.
Right.
You don't have to own 3 or 4 or 5 acres of land. All you need is about a table size, or if you have a backyard of land to plant.
That's right.
The whole purpose of this is to be self-sufficient. Somebody say self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient.
To be self-sufficient and be able to what? Provide for your mishpachah. This is why it is important. And if you don't want to go to the Dollar Tree, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Kmart, and you can buy some land. And you can till it, and you can sow it, and you can bring forth. It's important that we understand the whole principle is being able to provide for yourself and then teach your children how to provide for themselves. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And watch this. Save your money so you're not tied down to debt.
That's right.
It's important that we break a lot of debt ties. One of the things I'm learning is that in order to get rid of debt, you got to start downsizing. You got to start looking at what's important, what's not. I'm not a pack rat, but I like a lot of stuff. I do. But I've learned some things you got to let go of. And then some things you let go because you're making room for something new.
That's right.
So it's important that we understand, once again, the principle behind this. Now, another version says, he who tills his land is satisfied with bread. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
But he who pursues vanity is filled with poverty. When we run after other things, you have to understand something. When you run after trying to be rich and famous, when you run after trying to do and be like everybody else, this will cause you to be in poverty and in ruins. It's important that we understand that. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right. Now let's look at the next verse. The next verse or chapter. Let's look in chapter 21. And we're going to look at verse 20. Same in Mishlei. We're still in Mishlei. 21 and 20. All right. Let us read.
Mishlei, chapter 21, verse 20.
Mm-hmm.
Desirable treasure and oil are in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man swallows it up. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at this verse and let's look at this. 21 and 20. We're going to look at it from two. All right, 21 and 20. And it reads in the Abrahamic covenant, there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spends it out. Another version, desirable treasure and oil are in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man swallows it up. Either way, it is showing a principle. Now you have to understand, what is the principle for this? Store up the choicest food so that you will not be hungry when that choice food is gone. Canning, freezing, dry food. We never want to have to tell our children there is no more food for them. You never want to have to find yourself in this position. And understand, follow my reasoning with this. The importance of understanding this is that this is what we do every day anyway. When you go to work, if you work, whether you work from home, whether you go on a job, whether you have your own business, the whole purpose of you working is to have what? A great lifestyle that you could present to your family, your mishpachah. You want a sustainable lifestyle so that anything that ever happens, you're able, or your mishpachah is able to be sustained. Are you following me?
Yes.
This is important. This is why people get 2 jobs, because they're saying it's not enough. I can't pay bills and then have enough left over. I don't want to be living from hand to mouth or from paycheck to paycheck. I want to have more than enough, because when you have more than enough, you're able to help somebody else.
That's right.
Now you have to understand, as a nation of people, Now, probably people ain't gonna like me for this, and they may get angry with me for this. But it is a selfish person that says, I don't need to prepare. We're not just preparing for ourselves. Now, understand with this being said too, understood. We are not preparing for people that can prepare for themselves but choose not to. That is important for you to understand as well. There are many people out there that really need help. And if we sit by and we say, well, I'm not going to do it because Yahuwah is going to take care of me, he's going to take care of all of us. We are his people. He is going to take care of all of us. But it's important that we understand this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. This is why we grab and we ask and pray for creative ideas, innovative ideas, because we want to give our children a better way of life, and not just our children, but each other.
That's right.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
You want to have more than enough. This is why you have that nest egg. This is why you have an account, because you're trying to save up a little money so that you can buy and you can have. It is the same principle. It is the very same principle. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. You want to store up the choicest food so that you will not be hungry when that choice food is gone. In other words, choice food means using wisdom, canning foods, freezing foods when you have the means to do so, drying food. In other words, when you putting up your dry goods.
Right.
Canning, learning how to can, learning how to have a means and a way that you are able to preserve your food. Are you following?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand, because these are the principles and the values that we want to teach our children. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. All right. Now we're going to. All right, we're in Michigan. We're going to stick in Michigan a little while. Then we're going to change over and go to another range. All right, let's look at 22 and 3. Now, this is going to read a little different.
And it is so.
And it is so. All right, let us read.
Mishlei chapter 22, verse 3. A sensible person sees danger and takes cover, but the inexperienced keep going and are punished. And it is so.
And it is so. All right, 22 and 3. And it reads, I'm going to read it from 2 places. The Abrahamic covenant says, a prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. 22 and 3. In the Netzarim, BYNV, and it reads, a clever one foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple go on and are punished. If you notice, that second part of that verse does not change. But the simple pass on and are punished. You have to understand, we see the evils that are going on. We see the stuff that is taking place.
That's right.
Now, when we see this, in other words, we don't go and hide ourselves in the sense of running scared, but we use wisdom. And we start acting like the gray man. Anybody understands that term if you are a prepper? If you are a prepper, anybody that's making preparations to live off grid, stay on grid, or whatever, you understand gray man. In other words, you make yourself unnoticeable. You don't do things for people to notice you. You ain't out there trying to do the bling bling and the bling bling. You trying to make sure that you just live a simple or a simplistic life. And so when he sees this, what does he do? He goes on and he lives, or she lives, in a manner that does not draw attention to them. But they are in a place to where they are hidden. Why? Because they want to preserve what is theirs. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
See, because you have to understand, when you already outside and it starts raining, if you don't have anything to cover yourself, you're going to get what? Wet. So it's important that we listen to what? The forecast, and not shrug it off, because that's a dangerous thing. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right, let's go to 10 and 4. Let's look at 10 and 4. Mishley 10 and 4. All right. Chapter 10, Mishley 10 and 4. Proverbs. Mm-hmm.
Just one verse.
One verse.
He becometh poor that dealeth with the slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich.
Read it again.
He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich.
And it is so. Now, I'm going to read 1 through 3, and we're going to get to 4. Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son makes a Abba rejoice, but a foolish son is his Emma's sorrow. Treasures of wrongness are of no value, but uprightness delivers from death. Yahuwah does not let the being of the upright go hungry, but he thrusts away the desire of the wrong. Verse 4. Poor is he who works with a lazy hand, but the hand of the hard worker makes wealth. Now understand, it's important we understand this, and I told you I'm going to read it from 2. Let me go up here and let me pull it up. Now it's important that we understand that what is being stated here, and that we not misconstrue it, and that we not twist it. And the reason I'm saying is that we not twist it is because it's important that we look at it. Are you following me?
Yes. Yes.
He becomes poor that deals with the slack hand, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Now, the purpose of us doing what we do is not to make us rich. But once again, he becomes poor that deals with the slack hand or lazy hand. If you don't prepare, then what happens for the next day? We're going to deal with scripture that talks about that too. But it talks about it in a way that it says not to, but we're going to see why that was brought forth. And the reason is because if we don't understand and we don't put the writings in perspective, we will find ourselves on one hand upholding one principle, and then that same principle in another area, we will destroy it because we say, but that can't be the same principle. Once again, if you have an account with a savings or checking account, if you have money in IRAs, if you have money in CDs, then you need to cash them and get rid of them. Because it is the same principle. You are saving up. Why? Because you want to make sure that if anything happens, you have enough of money to take care of your mishpachah. So it is important that we understand it's the same thing.
That's right.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Now, we must put our hands to our survival. And when I say survival, I'm talking about our livelihood. Our livelihood. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
That's very important. Y'all hear me?
Yes.
You want to, for your livelihood. And this is important. Some people go to work daily. Why? Because you don't want to be without. So let us be mindful of this that is taking place now. Once again, there are many things. There's many people talking about it. There are many people that are saying, y'all, we don't even have to worry about this. Y'all, why y'all even push this? Then there are those that are saying, no, you need to prepare. You really do. You need to. Now, we know other nations are doing other things and so forth and so on. But the thing that is important for us as a whole, once again, I will say it and I will probably catch heat, but it's okay. To say that you do not have to prepare is selfish. That's right. Somebody said, but how's that selfish? Because if you are a part of a nation and we are all one, then why do you feel you're not supposed to prepare if we all are trying to do the same thing? Am I making sense?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. Now, with that being said, once again, let's look at the writings. Let's go to Mishley chapter 6, and we're going to look at verses 6 through 11, And then we're going to go to 30 and 24 and 25. All right. Chapter 6, verses 6 through 11. Let us read.
6 through 11.
Mhm.
Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall the poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, I know it's not popular and it's not going to be popular, and that's fine. But the bottom line is that we prepare every day. What do you do when you go in the kitchen? You prepare your what? Meal. Why? Because you have to eat it. So you prepare it to do what? Cook it or eat it. The thing that is important for us to understand is that preparation is necessary and it is a part of our lives. It is just with this preparation, we are extending it because this is not what is going to be or what is looked at as being a normal situation. So it's important that we handle it in that fashion. Now, once again, it says, go to the ant, and it says, you lazy one, see her ways and be wise, lazy or sluggard, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, which having no commander, overseer, or ruler, provides her meat or supplies her meat in the summer, gathers her food in the harvest. Now you have to understand, it is important that we understand there's a time to plant, there's a time to sow. There's a time to sow, there's a time to reap. And so this is a time of planting. What are we planting? We are planting and preparing for what? Our lives. There is no sin in that. Now the sin comes in is when you're doing it because you are doing it out of worrying. We're not doing this because we are worried. We're doing it because it is still yet a part of our lifestyle to prepare.
Yeah.
This is something that is important that we understand. Now, once again, the ant who provides her supplies in the summer gathers her food at the harvest. How long will you lie down, lazy ones, when do you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to lie down. And your poverty, listen at this, shall come like a prowler, and your need as an armed man. Now you have to understand, and your need as an armed man. You know how an armed man or a robber comes up on you? They come up on you so fast that you don't have time to what? React. This is what the analogy is, that how poverty will come upon people that are not prepared. Are you hearing me? Yes. So shall your poverty come as a robber, and your need. Now understand, this is what poverty is going to come on you, and then your needs are going to follow after that as an armed man. So you got to understand, you're being robbed. Are you following me?
Yes.
Poverty is going to rob you, and your needs are going to come up on you so fast. Why? Because when poverty sets in, your needs can't be what? Met. A person that is in poverty is one that cannot do what? Meet their needs. You can still have money coming in and still be impoverished because it's not enough. So you have to understand, with the things that we have in place now, Yahuwah is giving us a means to where we can be self-sufficient. And also, watch this, autonomous. Even though we're in different places, we are yet still the same people. And we can rely and be supportive of one another. The problem comes in is that when we have people that will sit and say, I don't have to. Now, this is where you have to understand where the judges come in. Now, we have to judge your situation accordingly. Because if you don't prepare And then when these things come upon you, and now your needs are not being met. Now you have to understand something. Food is just a part of it. There's other things that you need to make sure you have. You got to make sure you have clothes. You got to make sure you have washing powders. You have to make sure you have soap. You have to make sure you have all of these things to make sure you stay clean and to make sure you have everything. So this food is just one part of it, but it's making sure you have everything. Now it's amazing when we go to the store, we always buy why? We buy for the what? I hope you buy for the young men and not just for that young.
That's right.
Because if you just shop for that young, that means that you are shopping only to satisfy yourself for that young. And then when the young men come, you are without because you have nothing. That's not wise at all. At all. So once again, if you are one that prepares, then what you're doing, you're just doing it. But what the thing of it is now is learning how to extend it for some young men, and even if necessary, for some months. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
There's no crime in that. Not because we are fearful, but because we're using wisdom. And you have to understand too, there are certain things that I like that when I go to the store, it's not always in stock. So if everybody's thinking along the same way and you go and it's not there, that means you're going to have to wait. So I always try to buy in bulk. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. Very important for us to understand. It's important that we understand that we not be caught and not prepared. Why? Because if you do, then it is because you set yourself up. Things now are not rough. And I say it, and I'll use this analogy again. We're in a time now where people, you have the 401k plan, you have IRAs, right? You have CDs, you have Christmas accounts, which we don't celebrate Christmas, but I'm just using the certain accounts that people have. And with these accounts, they're able to what? Save up money. Why? Because they don't want to have where they don't have money. And if you don't have your money in an account, you got money. If you work, you got it somewhere hidden and put up. Are you following me?
Yes.
My grandmother was one of the women that she was one that always kept money at her home, and she was one that if anything happened, she always had it available. So if anything ever happened, she was able to tend to the needs. And I remember when Daddy Brown got into a car wreck, and he totaled his car. And he had been looking at this Cadillac. And so she told me, she said, go in my bedroom. And she said, go all the way in the back of my closet. And there was a black purse up in there. And she said, and go grab it. And so I went and got it. When she opened up that purse, she pulled out a knot of money. She said, and this is what she told her children now, because I was there and they were all there. She said, I'm going to put the first $600 down on this new Cadillac. And let me tell you something. All of them followed with $500 or $600 to make sure that their papa had a brand new car. Now, let me tell you something. Preparation is not a sin.
That's right.
It is the motive or what motivates you to prepare. We're not preparing because we're scared and because we're worried. We're preparing because it's natural.
That's right.
If you do anything outside of that, then yes, it becomes a sin. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. All right. Now, let us turn our attention to Timotheus, Aleph 5 and 8. And you have it, and it is so. All right. Let's read Timotheus. Come on, pray.
Timotheus, Aleph, chapter 5, verse 8. But if anyone does not provide for his own, that is his own household, he has denied the belief and is worse than an unbeliever. And it is so.
And it is so. Read that again for me.
But if anyone does not provide for his own, that is his own household, he has denied the belief and is worse than an unbeliever. And it is so.
And it is so. All right. Now let's look at this. Timotheus 5 and 8. Verse 7 says, and command these things in order for them to be blameless. Up at the, we started at chapter verse 1, you read down. But verse 8 comes in, and it takes on almost a whole nother course of conversation. And if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the belief and is worse than an unbeliever or an infidel. Now, the important part of this, once again, is we are instructed to prepare and provide for our mishpachah. Primarily, it is the man's responsibility, but you have to understand you have a lot of single emas out there. And so if you are the provider, then this falls upon you. If you have an ish that is in need of help or what have you, it falls on you because it's still his responsibility, but it is the responsibility of us to work together to see this through. Are you following me?
Yes.
If we at odds with one another, he want to save and want to buy, and then I want to go do crazy stuff, that's going to cause friction and cause problems in our home. But it is the responsibility, understand when it says he, it also, I believe, is talking to us as a whole, in order to make this thing successful. We are to we are instructed to prepare and provide for our mishpachah. We are supposed to provide food and shelter, and we are also supposed to provide knowledge. We are supposed to teach the younger generation how to take care of themselves and to grow their own food. And with this, we are charged to teach them how to have and maintain a healthy relationship with the Abba. You have to understand something. The life and the things that we see, a lot of stuff, it's not our lifestyle. It is not for us. You have to understand a lot of our stuff we will westernize. And so it is for us to break that mentality so that we can begin to live a life. And when a person says simple, it doesn't mean simple in that what people believe today. A life of simplicity is still a life of wealth. Because you have to understand what people look at as being simple is wealthy land and being able to grow your own vegetation and wearing just simple clothes. And when we say simple, in other words, not designer clothes, it's not a simple life. That's the best life.
That's right.
Are you following me? And so when we look at that and we say that, we don't have to wear Nikes and all that stuff because I'm not going to pay the full price for that stuff anyway. Are you following me?
Yes.
I'm not going to no store and buy no Air Jordans. I'm not buying all that stuff because it's unnecessary. You can have some shit, they call them knockoffs, or we call them all kinds of stuff. I ain't wearing them shoes, them ain't name brand. Well, you know what? Go barefooted. And then when you tell people, well, go buy them yourself, you know what people do? They will go in and they will spend thousands of dollars and they will work themselves crazy just to buy that. Why? Because that's the mentality. But that's not our mentality. So when we say we need to teach them to take charge, watch this, over their lives in this respect. Learn how to grow your own food. Learn how to cultivate land. Somebody say, but how do you do that? I told you, go buy you some potting soil, put it in a pot. That's your ownership. You own that land.
That's right.
And can't nobody take it from you but you.
That's right.
You can have it out. You can have as many as you want. You can have it as big as you want or small as you want. But the bottom line is learning how to cultivate and grow using your hands. It's important that we understand this because you have to understand just like I'm understanding.
Sure.
It is about living, not just surviving. And many people say today, well, honey, we survive. I'm just barely surviving. Well, you don't have to survive. You can live.
That's right.
You can live. Once again, but what do I have to do to live? You have to have a mindset to live.
That's right.
Once again, I understand it's not popular because people want to continue to have that mentality. Well, I ain't got to do nothing. Believe that. Believe that, and you're going to truly find yourself in a world of trouble. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. Now, and to teach you how to have a healthy relationship, we depend on him for everything, not just some things, everything. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Everything. All right. All right, let's look at Mishley. We went to Mishley 22 and 3, right? All right. Now, once again, to reiterate that, the writing is on the wall. We must become more focused on preparing our mishpachah for the leaner times, providing for ourselves and living within our means. Ignoring the warnings will make or create a struggle. If you ignore the warnings, you're going to create or make a struggle. It's important we understand that. I know a lot of places they can't have gardens. Once again, if you can't have a garden outside, you can have one inside.
That's right.
Grow your beans, grow tomatoes, grow potatoes. You know what? You can have a container and grow potatoes in it. You can grow a lot of things inside. You just got to use wisdom. And once again, it is about providing for yourself.
That's right.
Let me show y'all something. Like I say, we never do what other people do because they're provoked and do what they do for the wrong reasons. But there was a site, and there's this group, and it's called the Proud Americans. And the Proud Americans this is a group, and I'm persuaded that they are Caucasians. And they are sending out MR packs, MREs, MRE packs. And it's a bunch of them, and they say the food lasts for 25 years. Now, I'm just like the person that asked questions because I was just on there looking. What is it that will make some food last for 25 years? Well, they say, well, it's the packaging that it's in that will cause it to. I don't care what kind of packaging you have. Ain't no food going to last on 25 years. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
That just ain't happening. But anywho, the bottom line is that they are making and preparing food, and they're telling people it's free. It's free. All you have to do is come here on this site, and we will give it to you free. Now, everybody I saw on there, watch this, were Europeans. Now, you have to understand the mindset here. The mindset with this is that when you look at the times of the Depression, the only people you saw in those soup lines were them. Now, you have to understand something. The mentality of this generation is that we ain't going to be in those soup lines. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now, with that being said, just like with driving, when my Ish was teaching me how to drive and he taught me how to drive, he said, you have to drive for yourself and for others. With that being said, you have to protect and watch over yourself as well as watch others. It is important. This is not a scare tactic, and understand this is in no means, by no way, telling people to go against the writings, because I would never do that. But what I am saying is we have to prepare.
That's right. That's right.
I'm going to tell you in this manner. If you don't prepare willingly, you're going to be forced to prepare.
That's right.
And if you're forced to prepare, you're going to prepare, but it's probably not going to be what you want. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Once again, he was commanded, we are commanded to provide for your own, and especially for those of your household. And if you don't, you have denied the belief, and it's worse than an unbeliever. And people say, well, you telling people not to believe truth. No, I am not. Let's go to Thessalonica 3 and 10. Second. Once again, it's important that we understand and not be foolish. And if it's not for you, fine. But for those of us that are looking and locking down or securing ourselves, we understand man don't work, he don't eat. Are you understanding me?
Yes.
And it is.
All right. I'm sorry, Aleph. No, Bet. That's right, Bet. Bet Thessalonians 3 and 10. And we're going to read all the way to verse 11.
Thessalonica, Bet, chapter 3, verses 10 to 11. In fact, when we're with you, this is what we command you. If anyone isn't willing to work, he should not eat. For we hear that there are some among you who walk irresponsibly, not working at all, but interfering with the work of others. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, with that being said, you have a lot of people. Now, we know this was a letter that was written to the Thessalonians. We understand that. Are you following me?
Yes.
And the one thing that is important and that I want to bring out is that it is an example for us to look at. Are you following me?
Yes.
We once again, this was a letter written to the Thessalonians. Can we use this letter? We can use it as a platform so that we don't be in that same mentality.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Once again, verse 10, for even when we were with you, we commanded you this. If anyone does not wish to work, neither let him eat. In other words, if you don't wish to work, then you won't eat. Now understand who he's talking to. He's talking about the community. Now, if we are a community at large or as a whole, then you can't expect to eat or grab anything from a community of people where we are building and we are buying and we are setting up. Are you understanding me?
Yes.
Once again, this is a letter that was written to them based upon what was going on with them. But we can use this letter as an example of how you cannot do or what you're not supposed to do. Now, listen what it says. For we hear of some among you walking disorderly, not working at all, but are busybodies. But we command and urge such through our master Yahushua Mashiach to settle down, work, and eat their own bread. Now, once again, it's important that we understand the whole dialogue of this is to bring what? Order. It is to bring order. Now, you have to understand, order, you don't really set order when chaos comes in. You set order before chaos comes in. So chaos has no what? Room, because what? Order is in place. And so this is important for us as a people to really understand. To really understand. So that we are not found in a position, now watch this, where you have to go to the government. Because you have not walked in wisdom. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very important that we understand this. And so it is important that we understand what the writings are saying to us. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. Very important. Are you following me?
Yes.
For us to understand these things. All right. Y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. Now we have looked at the verses that have supported. Now let's look at the verses and the scriptures that don't. But let's look at the reason why. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Because it wouldn't be balanced if we only looked at the scriptures that said or gave it support. All right, let's look at Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 through 20. Mhm.
And it is so.
All right, let's read verses 19 and 20.
Don't collect for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break and steal. But collect for yourselves treasures in Shemaiah, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves don't break in and steal. And it is so.
And it is so. All right, now let's look at the whole understanding and the thread of this conversation in order to intelligently, and in all fairness. Look at this in the manner it's supposed to be looked at. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now, in chapter 6, when you look at verse 1, it says, beware of doing your kind deeds before men, in order to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Abba in the Shemayim. Now, let's jump down to verse 6. We're just kind of looking at the different verses. But you, when you pray, go into your room, and having shut your door, pray to your Abba, who is in the secret place. And your Abba who sees in secret shall reward you what? Openly. And when praying, do not keep on babbling like the foreigner, for they think that they shall be heard for their many words. Now listen what he said. Therefore do not be like them, for your Abba knows what you need before you ask him. Right. Now you have to understand, this is in this thread of conversation, or this line of conversation, correction is being brought forth. So in order for correction to be brought forth, that means something is being done wrong, right? Now you have to understand, even in that time, they had what? They had farms. They were farmers. Now, in order to understand this, once again, you have to understand what is taking place here. Yes. They were still heavy in agriculture. So if you had a farm and you had corn, what did you do? You harvested, and that what you didn't use, you did what? Huh? You set it aside and you did what? You put it up, right? You just didn't take it and eat it all up that day, or just give it all away. Are you following me?
Yes.
Y'all stick with me, please. I'm almost finished. Now, the importance of understanding this is understanding who he is speaking to and why he is talking to them in this manner. He says in verse 9, this then is the way you should pray. Our Abba who is in the Shemayim, let your name be set apart, let your reign come, let your will be done on the Arabs as it is in Shemayim. Give us to Yam our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and do not lead us into trial, but deliver us from the wicked one, because yours is the reign and the power and the esteem forever, and it is so. Now, he goes on to tell them, if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Abba shall also forgive you. But if you do not, remember now, the whole thing is he's bringing what? Correction. Correction in an area that needs correction, because they were doing stuff they had no business. They were praying out loud. They were wanting people to see them. In other words, they wanted people to pity them. They wanted people to feel sorry for them. So they were doing things that got what? Brought people's attention. And so Yahuwah, through Yahush, is bringing correction. He tells them in verse 16, and when you fast, do not be sad-faced like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so that they appear to be fasting to men. Truly, I say to you, they have their reward. He said, look, you got your reward. Once again, that's correction. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but your Abba who is in the secret place, and your Abba who sees in secret shall reward you openly. Because you have to understand, these people were still going to the workplace. And so because they were still going to the workplace, they couldn't be going there like, what's wrong with you, child? I'm fasting. I'm fasting, and this thing's about killing me. Oh, no, you go with your face anointed. You know, you go doing what you have to do. You know, when we were Christianity, you know, when we thought we were doing the right thing, when we fasted, we always tried to make sure we kept a minute, because, you know, when you're fasting, you don't put anything in your mouth that has any kind of sugar or any kind of salt, so your breath can become offensive. So, you know, you tell people, you know, right now, you know, I'm not being funny, but, you know, I don't want you to be standing in my face saying, well, your breath stink, you know, like donkey, you know, shred. You don't want nobody to be offended, you know, and then you don't want to get your feelings hurt. So you want to, now, once again, let's look at this again. Now, in verse 19, now listen what he says. Do not lay up for yourselves treasure on Arabs, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. Now, remember, this goes with verse 20. But lay up for yourselves treasure in Shemayim, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Now he's telling them why. Because the whole motive and the whole purpose of this line of conversation is to turn them what? Back to Yahuwah. So that their belief would be in him and not their stuff. Well, somebody will say, but if you all are preparing and putting stuff up, aren't you believing in that? Absolutely not. Because let me allude something to you. While we're preparing, he could tell us to walk away from all of it.
Right.
Are you following me? Yes. So whatever he tells us to do, that's what we're doing. But you must understand something. It is about our livelihood and how we live. That's important. Now, listen at verse 21. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall be also. He is not, now understand what I'm saying. He is not against us putting up, but he is against us putting it up for the wrong reason.
Right. That's right.
For wrong reasons. We're not hoarding things. It's important to understand that. Now listen what he says in verse 22. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is great, all your body shall be enlightened. Now, once again, very important for us to understand his line of conversation. He is bringing correction because correction is what? Needed. Now, listen what he says in verse 25. Because of this, I say to you, do not worry. Somebody say worry.
Worry.
In the last couple of verses that we're going to read from verse 25 to 34, that is going to be the main theme of each one of these verses. Worry. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Whenever you understand context clues, you understand why it is emphasized for them not to do what they're doing. Why? Because the emphasis is on the reason why they're doing it is because they're worrying. We're not doing this because we're worrying. We're doing it because it's a part of what we do, and that is to live. Yeah. When I go to the grocery store, I don't shop just for today or for Tayam. I shop for the yams to come.
That's right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Because we have a large family. So wisdom says shop and prepare. So you already have your meals there. And not day to day or on the yamim. So it's important that we understand the lining or the conversation that is taking place here. Now listen what he says in verse 25. Because of this, I say to you. Now let's look at verse 24 first. No one is able to serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and have the other, or else he shall cleave to the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve power and riches. Because of this, I say to you. Because of what? You cannot serve two masters. This is why this part of the conversation is birthed forth. Do not worry about your life. What you shall eat or drink, about your body, what you shall put on it. Is not life more than food, and the body more than the clothing? He is putting forth this line of conversation to encourage them and to assure them, not discourage them. Because you have to understand, their motive for what they were doing was motivated and birthed out of worrying. Now let's look at verse 26. Look at the birds of the Shemayim, for they neither sow nor reap nor gather into storehouses. Right? We know they don't gather in storehouses. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yet your heavenly Abba feeds them. Are you not worth more than they? Once again, you have to understand the conversation. The whole purpose and the emphasis of this is to get us to believe what? In Abba Yahuwah. Does that mean our belief is supposed to go and be impotent and be without some type of belief that brings forth action? I believe him. This is why I go and prepare.
Yes, that's right.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
That's important for us to understand. Now, listen what it says. And which of you by worrying, is that word again, worrying. Mm-hmm. So that is the what? That is the nucleus, and that is the center for this conversation, because everything they do is stemmed off of what? Worrying. Are you following me?
Yes.
Because if we don't walk in understanding with this, then that means you won't go buy no more clothes. That means you won't do anything. You will just walk around every day saying, well, Yahuwah is going to give me some clothes. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
He gives seed to the sower. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And he provides food, or he provides bread for us. Are you following me?
Yes.
He gives the seed to the sower so that the sower can do what? Sow the seed, which produces what? Bread. So he provides for us these means and these ways so that we can eat. Once again, the basis for it is worrying. And which of you by worrying is able to add 1 cubit to his lifespan? That's a question. So why do you worry about clothing? Once again, the whole premises of this is what? Worrying. So why do you worry about clothing? Note well the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And I say to you that even Solomon, in all his esteem, was not dressed like one of these. Verse 30. We're reading to 34. If power so clothe the grass of the field, which exists to young and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more you, O ye of little belief? Once again, let's look at verse 31. Do not worry then, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For all of these the nations seek for, and your heavenly Abba knows that you need of these, and that you have need of these, that you need all these. Excuse me. So once again, the premises of this is worrying. Don't worry. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now, verse 33. But seek first the reign of Yahuwah and his uprightness, and all these matters shall be added to you. Do not then worry about tomorrow. For tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each job has enough evil of itself. The conversation is built upon encouraging them to come out of the mindset of worrying. We are not to worry.
That's right.
Now you have to understand something. As they continue to go forward and do, they had to understand, watch this, that they had to continue to live. Now, while they were off doing what they were doing, watch this, they didn't shut down their businesses, they just put other people to work. Because if you notice later on in the writings, they went right back to working. Because they understood without money, you can do nothing. You need money. Are you following me?
Yes.
Yes.
It's important that we understand that. And another thing that we must understand as a people, we see throughout the writings that Yahuwah baruched his people with ideas, creative ideas. Look at how he spoke unto Joseph. He gave Joseph a dream. Now you have to understand, when he gave Joseph that dream, it wasn't just concerning Joseph and his family, but it was concerning Mitzrayim too. I was reading one article where somebody said, well, you really can't use that because when it was all said and done, Pharaoh owned everything and he turned the people into slaves. That's a lie. People didn't go into slavery. None of them went into slavery. It was the children of Yahshua, but that was later on down the line. Are you following me?
Yes.
So once again, when we don't understand the writings in the context that they are read, we will find ourselves doing a lot of stuff, and we will find ourselves doing more harm than we are helping. Because once again, you have to prepare and you have to do these things, or you will be living from hand to mouth, and you will be living from day to day or from yom to yom. And let me tell you something, that's not wise at all, because that gets very expensive.
Yes, that's right.
Very expensive. Even they understood when it came harvest time, you harvest. And they remember when Yahuwah told them, he said, in the 7th year, you will not glean, or you will not harvest. But he told them what? In that 6th year, he said, you're going to glean, and you're going to do what? Store up. And that what you store up is going to last you for how many years? Are you following me? Yes. Even though it's reference to the year of the Shabbat year, it's still, we have to understand purpose. And Miles Monroe put it in a profound way. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. We will abuse a thing. So it is important, once again, that we find ourselves preparing.
Right.
It's what you do anyway. So it's not going to hurt you. It's why you got a second job. It's why you got a better job, so that you can live better. So now in this, you just go and buy extra stuff. Are you following me?
Yes.
And watch this. And if the shutdown goes longer, then guess what? You're prepared. And if it doesn't, guess what? You still have enough. And then, and it's important to understand that we are preparing not out of fear,
That's right.
but we are preparing because it's for us to do. Now, once again, with that being said, if we don't, then we don't need to be farmers. We don't need to deal in agriculture. We don't need to do any of that. Because that's what we do. You don't just go and harvest everything and eat it all up. You harvest it and you put it up.
That's right.
You tuck away your seeds so you can plant them for the next season. You tuck away, you can that so you can keep it. People ain't canning stuff for no month. People canning stuff for months down the line.
That's right.
Why? Because you want to make sure that your life and that what you are doing, are you following?
Yes.
And it's not just about us. It is about being able to help somebody else.
That's right.
I pray on this, Layla, that I have helped somebody to understand and to see. Once again, it is not us. Now, if we were up here running scared and we were frightened and we just telling everybody, sell everything you got and go run to the mountains, then you'd be leery. Like people was doing during Y2K. People were telling people to sell their homes. People were doing all kinds of things. And in the process of that, people were becoming millionaires off of people's fear. Shut down this, sell that. And people were going into the desert living because they felt like everything was going to crash. Because people will capitalize off of their fear. I'm not telling you to sell everything you have. I'm not telling you to sell anything you have. But what I am saying is when you go to the store, grab some candles. When you go to the store, grab an extra pack of beans, grab an extra pack of rice, grab those things and set it aside because you know not if Yahuwah might send somebody your way for some help.
That's right.
Remember, we talking about our people now. And I'm not talking about people that failed to prepare because they didn't want to, because they felt like they didn't have to. I'm talking about people that have gotten into a situation where they've utilized everything they've had. It is important that we understand principle and we understand foundation. Now, once again, with that being said, I pray this has helped you. I want to drop this also in your ruach. Geechee Farmers, anybody that is familiar with Geechee Farmers, they're in Atlanta, not Atlanta, they're in Augusta, Georgia. And they are doing a 2-for-1 sale. So anybody, if you know anybody or know anybody that knows anybody that's in that area, that's on, and you for the price of 2, you can get one item. I mean, for the one item, you can get 2 items. And so he's trying to help. And I commend him for doing what he's doing. And it's to help people because you have to understand, once again, it's already been put out there. People that are getting that type of assistance, you need to use wisdom on how you use it, because in the month of February, you may not get anything. And so it's important that we understand what's taking place here. And also, not only that, but I also want to encourage you, if you're on Instagram, to go to, what is it called? Survival Living? Huh? Israelite Survival. Shazek Yah, who is a brother that we are very familiar with, and he's part of our Mishpachah, and he teaches you the different things that you need to have. And understand something, these are things that you just want to have. Are you finding me? I mean, are you following me? The thing of it is that you want to make sure that you have things. You don't want to be left out there open. And once again, it's very important that we have these things, but he teaches you to have things, and he shows you how to go and grab certain things. Now, once again, am I telling you to put your life on hold? Absolutely not. That is not what I'm saying at all. I am saying this to you, though. If you purchase anything, purchase it, if you can, debt free. Pay cash for it. Don't get caught up in trying to mortgage or trying to buy anything on credit. I encourage you not to do that. Pay cash for it. You want to pay cash so you are done, and when you walk away, whatever it is, it goes with you. So I'm encouraging you to do that. I am also encouraging you to make a list. And then just look at the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. When you go by, you always buy 2 things anyway, unless it's just you. And even then, I still teach, whether you're a bachelor, whether you're single, buy more than what you need, because you never know what you may need that money for in the next couple of days. So if you already have it, then that money can be allotted or to something else. But it's important that you buy extra socks, buy extra clothing, buy blankets, buy those things, buy olive oil, buy cooking oil, buy coconut oil, buy those things that you need. It is important that we understand. Are you hearing me? And when you buy that bag of rice, Dollar Tree has 2 pounds for $1. That means you can go get 6 pounds of rice for $3. That's a great deal. And let me tell you something. If you or like us, we eat rice all the time. Rice is one of those things you can have it with butter. I don't put no sugar on it. Mm-mm. But you can have it. And once again, you want to buy things that will be preserved and kept. Not only that, you want to purchase seeds. As I said before, and I meant it, and I was very serious. Buy you some potting soil. Buy you some pots and begin to grow. Dollar Tree, depending on where you are, you can buy strawberries. You can buy your herbs, and it's just $1. All you have to do is put it in there, water it, and watch it grow. And you have right there, you have just created your own garden, and you just created your own land that's yours. Once again, I'm here to encourage you, not discourage you, to be about the Abba's business and be about doing what we need to do while we have the opportunity to do so. Once again, if you have any other questions or any comments or what have you, leave them on my post. Please don't leave anything stupid, because if you do, we're going to remove it. But if you have any other questions, any personal questions you would like to ask me, hit me on Messenger, and I will do my best to answer you. Once again, it is not just about food. It is about personal items. You want to have soap. You want to have deodorant. You want to basically learn how to create your own deodorant. Learn how to make your own deodorant. Learn how to make your own toothpaste. Learn how to do these things. It's important that we learn how to do these things. Once again, it is about the continuation of our lives and the continuation of our lifestyle. We don't do anything, once again, birthed out of worrying or out of worry. We do it because it is a part of our lifestyle, and that is to prepare. And if you have young children, or even if you have young adults, you want to make sure you're able to provide for them. And that's only wise. It's only wisdom. And so it is important that we do so. Once again, candles. You want to get candles, emergency candles, the ones that last for 3, 4, 5 hours. You want to get candle stands. You want to get those type of things, just to name a few things. You want to get things that cannot perish, non-perishables, that can't perish quick. And at the same time, like I said, you continue to cook and do what you do, but you just put that other stuff on the side so you can always have it. And it is so. I pray once again that this has encouraged you and has caused your head to be lifted up and your shoulders squared, and continue to keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because you can't go wrong by walking in His truth. I am Aliyah Yasharal, and I am the leader of Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom, Hebraic Belief Ministries located in South Carolina. I want you to remember, here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom, Hebraic Belief Ministries, this is the place where the Torah does the body excellent. Until next time, may Abba Yahuwah Baruch atah and keep you in His shalom until we meet again. Also, I want you to remember that you've been touched by Champion TV, a place where the champions reside. And it is so.
And it is so.